Hey, good afternoon, lovers. So wonderful to be with you for this pre-Christmas cuppa with Katie. So cheers. I have my cup of tea, which I've been looking forward to. And I'm sat in my tracksuit, my tracky dacks, as I call them. Got the fire on the go here, keeping warm, got my Christmas lights, feeling Christmassy. And it's really, really nice to be with you. I haven't actually managed to do a Couple with Katie show in a little while. Life's been a little cray-cray here at the School of Self-Love. Oh, hey, Karen. How you doing? Well, I say at the School of Self-Love, not really, more so in my household. nothing to do with the School of Self-Love. That's ticking along nicely. All good there. Yeah, we've been to America, you probably saw, and did a recce for a week for the town that we are moving to in summer next year. So we've been there, done that, lots of learnings from it, and I will be sharing more about that with you very soon. I'm excited to share. I've been learning a lot. There's a lot of personal growth, a lot of family growth going on behind the scenes here. So, and I really want to share it with you because I think it's going to be really inspiring and motivating to include you in our journey of relocating countries. So, yeah, more of that to come. And yeah, so we've been away and then we've come back, and my husband and son have both had COVID, and still my husband James is still suffering with COVID. We're like 10, 11, 12 maybe days in now. Rebecca, hello, darling. Nice to see you. So there's that, and and all the pre-Christmas stuff. You know how it goes. Anyway, it's wonderful to be with you today, and I'm going to be answering a question specifically today because in my Love Lounge membership, so Karen and Rebecca, good to have you because you're in the membership. And by the way, if you've joined, please say hello. And if you're watching on replay, just type #replay because I do like to see who's been watching. But say hi to me so I know who's here joining me. In my Love Lounge membership, we do a weekly Ask Me Anything. So at the beginning of every week, a post goes out into our membership Facebook group, inviting all the members. Our membership doubled this year, by the way. That's something to celebrate. Amazing, amazing women in that space. I ask, what do you want to know? What do you need support on? And I get lots of questions. And I answer those questions on a live just inside the membership at the end of each week. And I do an oracle card reading, and we celebrate our wins for that week. And it just keeps the momentum of the membership going. And it has the women consistently week by week by week feel seen and heard and supported. So I'm really proud of our weekly Ask Me Anythings. And tomorrow I'll be doing my Ask Me Anything live inside my membership. And there's a lot of questions. It's interesting, like this time of year, I think it brings stuff up. And not least, we're reflecting on the year that's been, and we're looking forward to the year that's coming. And when I say looking forward, maybe not looking forward, maybe not reflecting in a good way, like it can really churn things up. And with Christmas approaching, it also brings up a lot of family stuff. It brings up historical problems and stress and worries and concerns, and we've got a lot of questions tomorrow on the live. So I thought I'd actually just pick one of the questions out from that and answer it here today publicly, because it's like the question that's on the tips of everyone's lips at this time of year, and I've got a couple of things I want to say about it. So I hope and trust that it serves you. And if you don't have this question, then lucky you. Hold on one sec. Karen's saying, lovely to be here at this time as I'm usually at work. You are usually at work, of course. You've your tools down for Christmas, aren't you? Okay. So let me read you the question. Okay. The question is, with Christmas rapidly approaching, do you have any top tips on how to stay in the empowered feminine and not get triggered when around family? Particularly not falling back into old dynamics when around parents and siblings. Okay, whether you're here live or on the replay, can you just comment, does that question resonate at all for you? I'd love to know. I personally don't have this problem. And in a way that's sad, I think, because the reason I don't is most of my family aren't in the UK. they're they're not on my doorstep. So, I don't get to, I don't get to see my sister and her husband and the kids, and I don't get to see my dad. And in a way that actually makes me feel really, really sad. I'd love nothing more than to spend Christmas with them. So those dynamics aren't at play with my immediate family. We'll have my husband's family here for Christmas, and to be honest, we're really good. And then we're a new family. We've only been a family for 6 or so years, so there's no historic stuff there. And this time of year actually feels quite chilled for me. And I know that that is not the case for the majority. And I speak to many women who have this question. Let me just take a look at the comments and see if anyone's commented. No. Okay. Well, maybe this doesn't relate for you either, but I know it does for many. So let me just dive in. Okay. So, any top tips on how to stay in the empowered feminine and not get triggered when around family, particularly not falling back into old dynamics around parents and siblings? I believe that an empowered woman is prepared. That's just a key premise. If you want to feel empowered in your life, you are prepared. And when you're prepared, what that actually means is that you have a really great relationship between your own inner feminine and masculine energies, in that you're allowing yourself to be connected with your feminine, your intuition, your deepest desires, and you know what you need, you know what you want. And from that place of deep connection with self and connection to source, you are able to instruct, to inspire and guide your own inner masculine energy into taking inspired action that's aligned for you, good for you, that's going to feel good for you. And so that you're making your desires and goals and dreams happen in a way that isn't just perfect for you, it's just totally on point with who you are and the woman you came here to be. That's where, like, this is the work that I'm doing with my clients. This is what we're super focused on, is having that dynamic at play within our own energy field. And of course, to have that at play, it requires us to pay attention to anything that is disempowered going on, whether it's feelings, thoughts, relationship to our body, all sorts of different things. So we're always having to do the inner work. We're always having to clean up our energy, whether that's past, present, future stuff. So when I say an empowered woman is prepared, she's prepared because she's always tapping into the truth of who she is and directing her life and all the action she takes in her life from that place. That's preparation right there. And when it comes to seeing family, friends, siblings that are going to push your buttons at this time of year, you must prepare yourself in advance of those meetings by doing your own inner cleanup, your own inner work, to be able to handle those situations. Now, of course, you've always got a choice whether you spend time with certain family members, siblings, or not. So first and foremost, you get to choose, right? So you're always in choice. Now, that choice might not always feel difficult. It might be easy to believe I don't really have a choice. Like, this time of year, this is like what I have to do. I have to go and see those people and spend time with those people. I have to buy presents. I have to cook this. I have to show up in this way. I have to be all things to all people. Like, all that shit goes on at Christmas time for so many. All the people pleasing shit comes up. I know. You are always in choice. So first and foremost, we have to remember that. And I believe that tapping into choice is a very empowering tool. You are in choice. So even if there's a rub with the choice, if it's not quite really what you want, if you're choosing it, if you're going to go ahead with it, you have to own it. You have to own the choice that you're choosing to spend time with these people. That's the first thing. Owning it means you're not in a position of victim. Owning it means someone's not making you do something. You're choosing it. So from the empowered place of, okay, I'm choosing this, then you prepare yourself with what you know is going to trigger you. So that's where this question is coming from. This woman knows she's choosing to spend time with certain people over the Christmas period, and or whether she realizes it or not. So I'm hoping that right there drops something important, like being in choice. Now, once you've owned the choice, you have to prepare yourself for all the things that are going to bug the crap out of you. The things that are going to raise your heckles, make you angry, make you sad. Like, you need to tap into what that could be. Because you do know. If you didn't know, you wouldn't be writing me that question. So you know exactly who is going to trigger you. You know exactly how they're going to trigger you. They might throw you a curveball here and there. And if you know they're the kind of people or person that might throw a curveball, you know that too. So you prepare for it. You're not a victim. You're going to prepare for how you're going to deal with those situations. So the first thing I would invite you to do is tap into desire. Everything begins with desire, which is the feminine. So the starting point for the preparation for meeting these triggering family, friends, siblings, the starting point for the preparation is tapping into your feminine, which is your desire, where you ask yourself, how do I desire to feel when I'm with these people? How do I desire to feel at that event, at that dinner, at that party? You can apply this to everything, by the way, of course. How do I desire to feel? You're likely going to say something along the lines of, I desire to feel peaceful. I desire to feel empowered. I desire to feel happy, calm, like I'm enjoying myself. I desire to feel in my power, connected with my choice, right? Like all these things. How do you desire to feel? I want to feel good. I want to feel happy. I want to feel joyful. I want to feel confident. I want to feel safe, whatever it is for you. So how can you create that experience for yourself? This is what an empowered woman will ask herself. How can you create that experience? And just asking yourself these questions is already taking your power back and is already ensuring your experience with the triggering people is going to be a hell of a lot different. Then I want you to tap into, well, what are the niggles? What are the triggers? Oh, Jess has made it. Hi, Jess, darling. So good to see you. What are the niggles? What are the triggers? What do I just know they're going to do and say that's really going to piss me off or really knock me off my perch or have me not feel good enough or feel like I'm in this space of here we go again, like whatever it is for you. What do you know they're going to do or say or how they're going to behave? Just connect with that. Your journal's probably going to be really handy with this, and it probably won't take very long. But just write a little bulleted list and notice how those niggles and triggers make you feel usually. Just connect to that because you don't want to feel that, right? But just notice how it's going to make you feel. And then ask yourself, how could I experience that? The trigger. How could I experience that conversation? How could I experience their behavior differently so that I feel ... You do know the answer to that. You're very wise, you're very intelligent, you're very resourceful and capable. You've come this far in life. You've survived these people all these years. They're not about to change. We'll get to that in a second. It's another thing I want to share. They're not about to change. You know how it's going to go down. And if you're choosing to be with them on some level, I'm hoping you want to. Maybe it's about remembering what your values are, and maybe family is a really high value. And maybe it's a value that you have your child, for example, connect with the grandparents, even though it's a little difficult for you. You like that, right? That dynamic. Tapping into your values and remembering that is really important. There's a reason why you're in choice being with these people. That's an important piece to remember. But tapping back into your own inner wisdom, your own intelligence, your own knowing. If they behave like that, how do I choose to respond so that I feel like that instead? And what do you know that you can do? Sometimes there's nothing on it. It's just like, oh my gosh, just because I've tapped into that right now, I know I'm going to be able to handle it because I'm acknowledging what like just through the journaling of this, I'm acknowledging what my experience usually is. And that self-acknowledgement and how you know it usually makes you feel, that self-acknowledgement is massively having your own back. So that when you're there with them in person on the day, you've already supported yourself. You've already witnessed yourself. You've seen and heard yourself. It's like you've got your own best friend with you on the day going, yeah, I know. It's annoying, isn't it? Yeah, but I got you. We're in this together. Because you've already acknowledged it for yourself in advance of the situation, rather than doing no prep work, plonking yourself in the situation, and then kind of acting surprised why you're triggered and annoyed and or upset or not feeling enough. You just didn't prepare. Let's set it up for you so that you have no surprises, right? So what do you know you could do differently? That's what you have to ask yourself and answer for yourself. Do you need to remember that they're on their own journey, that they are behaving in life in reaction to something instead of response, that they have pain and that they take it out maybe on others? Or because what we're doing here is bringing compassion into the situation, like seeing it from a different perspective, not, oh, they're so annoying, they trigger me. It's, well, what's actually maybe going on for them? It's not about making their behavior okay all the time. And that perspective can sort of lift you into a perspective of love rather than a fear-based experience, and reactive experience rather than responsive, which is what an empowered woman does. She responds to the situation. She doesn't react in the moment. So noticing, yeah, like what might be going on for them. Asking yourself that in advance. I wonder why they do behave like that. I wonder why they do say that. I wonder why when they say that, it makes me feel like a little girl again. Like, what do you need to do right there in advance of the meeting to take your power back, to clean up your side of the street? Maybe you need to deepen your own healing work around that. And that's where you step it up with your therapist, or you step it up with your coach, that kind of thing. So what do you know that you need to do? You do know the answers. I'm just going to read this comment and then share something else. Rebecca, definitely going to do this as get triggered by family and then asking questions about my personal love life. Okay, that's awesome share, Rebecca. Thank you for sharing that, because that's had me remember to share with you that this comes up so often with single women, especially my clientele who are, I know you're not over 40, Rebecca, most of my clients are. That question, oh my God, it's so annoying, isn't it? Oh, so have you found your person? Oh, you're not married yet? Oh, you're still single? The judgment, the questions, oh, maybe you're expecting too much. Maybe you're not trying hard enough. Maybe you should put yourself out there more. Maybe you like, oh my God, the judgment. And it's all very well-meaning, but it's so infuriating, right? Yeah. I feel you, Rebecca. I feel you. I remember it only too well. So preparation would include a standard answer to those questions. Now, decide now what you're going to say. don't allow yourself to feel like a victim or put upon or pissed off or kind of on the back foot when someone asks you a question. You're like, oh, I don't know, and randomly say something and then kind of regret it because you didn't really feel in your power. It wasn't really your truth, and you're sort of making an excuse for yourself. But you don't have excuses. You know and love yourself. You don't need to make excuses for you and your life and your relationship status. And actually, it's not really anyone else's business. So what is your stock standard response going to be? When you know the questions, you know who they're going to come from, what do you decide to say in return? It's such an energy drain to know that you're going to be in situations where people are going to ask you personal questions that you don't want to answer. Just thinking about that, ruminating about that is a real energy drain. So you can just quit the energy leak immediately right now by deciding what your answer is going to be. Just know. I'm not going to suggest to you what that would be. You can decide what it would be. And then to tap into something else I was saying, and this, it can sound a little bit, please say I say what I'm about to say with so much love, and please just take it for the surface level example that it is. I have done a live on this before. And I can say this to you guys because you're in my world and this transformational space. You're here committed to doing the inner work, to knowing and loving yourselves, to living life in response rather than reaction. You're doing the work. You're committed to doing the work. You care about doing the work. And I know only too well that sometimes it can feel really difficult to be around people who aren't doing the work, who are still, and there's no judgment here, because actually I believe the more we do our own inner work and develop self-compassion, the more we're able to have compassion and hold space and just allow others to be on their journey and be where they're at. And there's no judgment. Like, I couldn't do the work I do if I had judgment for anybody. Right? I couldn't. We're all on our journey. We all have our stuff. We're all doing the work. And something that helps me enormously, and it has helped multiple clients of mine in the past, is to remember that when you're with somebody who's on their journey and might not be quite where you're at, that's a judgment sentence right there. And if they're triggering you and their stuff is coming up, which is why it's triggering you, or if you're wanting to get a different response from them, or that you want them to speak to you differently or behave differently with you, and they won't, it's frustrating. You have to remember it's as if they're in a wheelchair. Now, that's said with love and no judgment, but please hear out the analogy. I've had to play this analogy through a few times with different family members over the years in the early days. Thankfully, don't have to do it too much anymore, but occasionally it still comes up. Someone in a wheelchair, right? It's pretty likely that they probably don't want to be, and it's probably quite frustrating. And the truth is, if you asked them to get up and walk, they're not going to be able to. So you've got someone in a wheelchair, hear me out. Sorry, I know I'm going around the houses a bit with this analogy. If you've got someone in a wheelchair and you keep saying to them, can you get up and walk? Can you get up and walk? I want to go in this direction and we're not going to get there in the chair. So can you just jump up and walk with me? And they can't. They physically can't. And if you keep asking them, not only are they going to get frustrated, you're going to get frustrated. And you keep asking, and the frustration builds and the resentment builds, and there's no compassion, there's no understanding, there's no kindness. It's just resentment and anger building and building. Can you just get up? I want to go here, and I want you to come with me. It's all about your needs, by the way. I want you to come with me. And they can't. They physically can't. So you can see through that analogy, it's ridiculous to expect someone in a wheelchair to get up and walk to go where you want to go. It's a physical impossibility. We know this. And we have to apply that analogy to some of the people in our lives. Maybe they just can't come with us on the journey. Maybe their pain is too great. Maybe they're too scared to address the pain in their lives. Maybe they just downright don't want to. They're on a different path. They're on a different journey. They're not interested in you and your enlightenment and your transformation and your healing and how you now understand how the inner child has been operating your adult life, and you're no longer codependent and people pleasing and all the things. They don't want to know. That's not our business. Right there, we have to mind our own business. Who's to say we're right anyway? Just because we're on some transformational healing journey, how does that make us right or better? It doesn't. It doesn't. Expecting a sibling or a friend or a family member that you're spending time with this Christmas to get on board with you and where you're at in your life and to understand you, and expecting them to behave differently, to perhaps talk to you differently, for some people is going to be an absolute physical impossibility. So expecting anything different is only causing anger and resentment for both of you. What about moving into a place of compassion and kindness and minding your own business? When they can't do what you want, just picture them like let's picture this with the wheelchair analogy. They can't. They physically can't. It's like trying to speak to someone that's deaf, that's completely deaf, and expecting them to hear you. They can't. So you wouldn't do it, would you? It just takes the pressure off enormously. And all you have to do in that moment is remember that analogy and be like, okay. Because what we're doing there is taking away expectation. Expectation is such a heavy, draining energy. What if you could approach your Christmas by releasing any expectation, how it should be, and perhaps allow yourself to receive the experience that is going to be available to you? Does that make sense? We've got, I think I'm triggered more by having to visit my dad and stepmom at my childhood home. So I feel no control or sometimes out of control when I'm there. So right there, I guess it's a choice of whether you go or not, right? It's somebody else's home. So yeah, it's true. You probably don't have any control. It's their home, right? Let me just feel into this. Hold on. I think I'm triggered more by having to visit my dad and stepmom at my childhood home. So I feel no control or sometimes out of control when I'm there. So I would be asking myself, how can I experience this and feel in control? So what do I need to know in advance of this? What do I need to remember in advance of this? And it might be some mantras or affirmations that you practice in advance of, you might want to put your hands on your heart, maybe your hand on your womb, and I am safe. I'm safe. Maybe visualize the meeting with these people in the family home in advance of it. Visualize how it's going to go down. Notice the experiences that have you not feel in control. And visualize how you could choose to feel differently in that moment. Like, how could you have your own back in that moment? If you do the visualization in advance and see yourself feeling more empowered, see yourself feeling calm, all the things. Remember earlier on in the live, I was saying, like, how do you want to feel instead? If you could almost do a walkthrough of the experience in that family home of you feeling differently, just notice what you're doing differently to create that experience for yourself. Maybe then on the day when you're with them, you can tap back into that previous visualization that you did. Then you can tap into the affirmations and the mantras that you came up with for yourself to support you through that day. It could be really helpful. You might want to do some practices in advance, like EFT tapping. And, even though I don't feel completely in control, I do completely love and accept myself. Yeah. Even though I don't feel in control, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I don't feel in control, I know I can have my own back. Like, take yourself through something like an EFT tapping exercise in advance, practice it in advance. While you're there that day, if something comes up and you start to feel yourself out of control, take yourself away for a moment, go and sit in the bathroom, do your tapping, take your deep breath. Like, what are your tools that you have that you could practice in advance that calm your nervous system, that reconnect you with the truth of who you are, that allows you to take your power back? Do you have breathwork techniques that you could use? You could just go away, sit in the bathroom for a few minutes and do those breathwork techniques. Could you go away and do some EFT tapping? Do you need to go away, and if someone triggers anger or frustration and you just you can feel yourself going into a reactive state and you don't want to, you want to feel that peace and calm and happiness that you desire to feel, take yourself away from the situation and maybe shake in the bathroom. Maybe you need to just shake. Maybe you need to pull your partner to one side privately and just say, I'm feeling, this is how I'm feeling. Share it. Go sit in the bathroom and acknowledge how you feel. I am feeling triggered. And even though I'm feeling triggered, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm feeling triggered, I'm willing to feel calm. I'm willing to feel compassion. I'm willing to feel acceptance. I'm willing to take my power back. Like, have your back moment to moment to moment and prepare in advance on how you're going to do that. Does that make sense? I hope that helps. So there's a few tips. I feel like if anybody else gave me some specifics, I can respond with more specifics to help you. But I think they're key, right? I think we've covered the importance of preparing in advance, noticing how you're going to get triggered and preparing for that. What are you going to say in answer to their questions? How are you going to behave when they do X, Y, Z? Remember the wheelchair analogy. Boom, suddenly everything shifted. You remember in that moment of the wheelchair analogy, I can drop expectation of how this should be. I can be at peace with how it is. And I can do that from a place of compassion and kindness and having my own back. Because when I go into reaction and anger and allow myself to be triggered, because that's what you're doing, you're allowing yourself to be triggered, then I don't get to have the experience I want to really, truly have. One final thing before, you can apply this to anything, any situation you go into where you feel like you might not feel deeply rooted and connected to you and safe in you. Put a bubble of energy, a bubble of light. I like to imagine a big bubble of light around me, almost like I'm bouncing around in this bubble. And I get to choose in advance of the meeting what I allow into the bubble and what I don't allow into the bubble. It's like an energetic boundary. And I can choose that boundary allows me to still be open-hearted and available to connect with others. It's not concrete. It's like permeable. I can still connect. I can still share and relate. And my bubble doesn't allow in judgment or shame or fear or negativity or any of the things that I know I can feel that can come up in those environments. And all that is present in the bubble, and I choose in advance, I basically energetically choose to put into the bubble all that I want to feel, all that I'm available. So it's peace, it's love, it's security, it's safety, it's me having my own back. I put all of those yummy things into the bubble. And I choose to be in the bubble for the amount of time I'm with those people. And it's amazingly powerful because stuff just bounces off the bubble. And all that is a little energetic preparation. It takes a couple minutes. You can do it in the car as you're driving there. You just imagine, I'm jumping into my bubble. This is what's in the bubble. This is what's not available to come into the bubble. Yeah? It all boils down to preparation. Remember, empowered women are prepared. They take care of themselves. They do the inner work. You got this. So on that happy note, cheers. Love you lots. I'm wishing you, whether you celebrate Christmas or you don't celebrate Christmas and you're enjoying the holiday season, wherever you're at with it, happy holidays. Have a wonderful couple of weeks. I hope you have a beautiful new year. I will be back with you early 2023. It's really weird to think the year's going to tick over. You are very welcome, darling. So welcome. Yeah, I'll see you in 2023. So happy holidays. Happy Christmas if you celebrate it. And I hope today's show was helpful. Okay, bye.